Hey gun people, want to do a follow-up on the 1911. A lot of things I didn't cover, and maybe I misled the title. I was basically showing the kind of the difference in the different qualities. I'm going to show the different options you can get on 1911 and try to cover that a little bit better. So let's try and do some options here and see if we can't cover a few more things that I meant to cover and I didn't. So this is a, well, I'll start with this one. This is the Citadel that I showed you, and you notice I put the rubber things, very small piece, you just slide it in there. I kind of like that. It takes away from what some people say is an aggressive grab. This is a Dan Wesson. It's very smooth. They do a nice etching on this, so it isn't that, it isn't what I call aggressive, but it's aggressive enough to grip. The reason why people want this or don't want this here and this checkering here is if you're handling a gun when your hands are sweaty, wet, watery, mud, you're in a combat environment, this gives you extra grip so the gun doesn't move. Some people don't like smooth here, which this is a different little Springfield Champion. I don't think I used this in the other video. You can tell that's very smooth right there. Okay? It's got a little bit of ridging on the back, but it's not really aggressive checkering, what they call, and it's very smooth there. Now, all I could do on this is put a little rubber piece like this, and it gives me these finger grips. And then that takes away the smoothness. I have rubber, and it gives me finger grips. A small add-on. Notice the trigger difference in the two of these. This is your standard trigger. This is what they call a little bit upgraded. It's hollowed out, it's lighter, etc. So, those are things you want to look at. Another thing you want to look at, I didn't show this one yet. This is a Taurus I have. I really like this Taurus. I was shooting ammo that couldn't go through. It was jamming in my Springfield. I put it in this Taurus, and the Taurus ate it like nothing. The only thing I don't like about Taurus is it's a damn Series 80. They have that firing pin block safety that I don't like, which is extra parts. If this was a Series 70, I'd be all over it. Now, Springfield Series 70, the Ruger, a lot of other things, but on this, make sure this one isn't loaded. Oh shit, it is loaded. Damn, he's got it loaded! And this one probably has one in the chamber because I know where I keep this one. This is one of my grab guns. Yep, one in the chamber. Oh my god, he put in a loaded gun! Shut up! Full length guide rod. Somebody tried to polish the slide on this. I don't know if it came that way standard. Looks like they did a pretty good job if it's not standard. They have the checkering in the front. The checkering, instead of the stripes, it's got checkering in the back, a little bit more grippy. Sometimes these are too aggressive. This happens to be smooth. It'll wear down over time. And this has what, and again, the technical term, you've got your back striations or your stripes or checkering, whatever you want to call it. These are wide. These are thin. Some people like thin. Some people like wider. This one may even be wider than this one. And again, that's just for gripping the gun and pulling. And that's all those are for. It gives something to you to grip and pull. If you want a naked slide or something smooth, you can have smooth. Now the front striations, not all guns have that. You notice this Dan Wesson Specialist does not have that. Some people like it, some people don't. This Specialist is a really nice gun. I keep it in the box. I've never shot it. It's just a really beautiful piece of art, and I didn't show this in the other video, but you can look at this gun too on a Dan Wesson. Again, you can't go wrong, but they just did a really fine job manufacturing this gun. So anyway, you'll notice that it doesn't have the front striations, the front stripes, and the reason why this became popular is there used to be a thing called a press check for military SWAT right before you go in to make sure your gun's loaded, even though you carry a load and everything, because you're going in a high-risk situation. People would do what's called a press check, and you grab the front on these striations and you just pull it back a little bit and you make sure there's a round in the chamber. So I can see very quickly that there's no round in the chamber in here. And then if I put a round in the chamber, oh my god, the gun's loaded! Run! So now if there's a round in the chamber and I do what's called a press check, I can tell it's loaded. So a lot of guys will just do a quick press check. Let me make sure I'm in a thing here. And make sure their gun's loaded. So if I want to do a press check right before I go in, I'm stacking up, I'm ready to go in, and I'm like, you know what, I'm pretty sure I'm loaded, but I might have to use a gun. I don't want this sucker going click. I'm going to do a quick press check. I'm going to see if there's a round in the chamber, and then I'm going to let it go. So do you need those? I don't know if you need them, but you know, it is what it is. You notice also on this charge it has the extended safety on both sides. We call it ambidextrous safety. The standard regular safety is very small. It's not as long. So it's a little bit, this longer reach here makes it easier to click it on and off. So because it's longer, it goes, this one, a little bit harder to go on and off unless you work on it. This one, I've worked on this one, so it's not too bad. But some of these can be difficult because it's so small. So some people like the extended safeties because it's easier. So if you're buying a gun and you like that, you can add it later. I like the extended safety on and off. Some people don't like it because it's so big, they don't want it accidentally getting clicked on in a fight or something. When they click it off, they want it to stay off. I don't mind it, I like it. Some people prefer this more for combat use. You're more aggressive, you want to make it very deliberate, it should be hard, you don't want to accidentally have it go on and off. So again, pros and cons to different things on different guns and what you like. This has checkering in the back. It's pretty fine checkering, feels smooth, it's not aggressive. I told you about an STI I sent back, I didn't like it. Their checkering was so aggressive here. I mean, some people like aggressive checkering. To me, it just tears my hands up. I don't like it. I don't normally shoot with gloves. I'm not normally shooting in the mud, so I don't need that real aggressive checkering. Now, I would rather this checkering on the STI Escort. This is very smooth, it looks nice, and it's very, very smooth. But if there was dirt in there, it's enough to give me a grip to help me on a grip. On the back, they have a checkering. They don't have the stripes. Remember I showed you the stripes on one of these. This is just the straight stripes, and this is a checkering. So the difference in the back straps, people will refer to this as a back strap. I kind of like the smoother barbed wire checkering. Let's see here. The other things that people want to look for is what kind of bushing it has on the end. This gun's loaded. You guys better be careful. So, and again, what I was thinking of on this is called a beveled crown, or recessed crown. Shit, I couldn't think of it again. This is called a recessed crown. If you notice on this barrel, the curved part sticks out, and you notice it's a little bit recessed in there. There's a little bit of where it goes down. That crown, where the bullet leaves a gun, it's especially important in rifles. You don't want to damage or dent the crown. If you damage this, what happens is when the pressure comes out around the bullet, if this has a ding or a dent in the crown, pressure will escape, it will make it uneven, and it unstabilizes the bullet. So, especially on rifles, you want to protect this crown area. Well, the standard crown is the rolling part, kind of like this, that's just kind of rolled over. And the crown's on the inside and it's kind of protected. A recessed crown is more like this. It makes it smooth and it's recessed down in it. Again, this is the Kimber. And on the Kimber, you'll notice it has the smooth, what I call smoother, it doesn't have the checkering. I'm not a big fan of the aggressive checkering. This is smooth on the front. It's also smooth on the back. It has what I call less aggressive checkering. It's more of a design, more of a custom. On here, instead of having straight striations, you can see it a little bit. It's got kind of the fish scale kind of look. And I think Smith does the same thing. So, and again, this has an extended safety. So the safety, don't know if this is loaded. Oh, get scared. So it goes on and off easy. And again, it's got ambidextrous safety. So I can put it on, a left or right-hander can shoot it. Again, some people like it because it goes on easy, it goes off easy. It makes it very deliberate to take off. It's pretty easy to see. I kind of like the extended safety or enhanced safety or upgraded safety versus the small standard safety, which is usually very nubby and small. This, you notice, does not have the ability to, the bushing. This has your standard bushing to where you push this in to take it down and you spin this bushing and you take the gun apart like a standard 1911. Your smaller, shorter 1911s don't have that bushing on the front. Some people like it, some people don't. The old standard, I like it, it's pretty easy to take it apart. When you get these types, you have to use, and I use a paper clip. I don't know if this is loaded. When you lock the slide back, usually if you don't have this, you'll have a full length guide rod. And on this guide rod, you'll notice there is a little hole right there. And that little hole right there, I just take a paper clip, bend it, and you stick it in there. And then when I let the slide go forward, it keeps the spring compressed, and you have to take it apart that way. It's just a different way to take it apart, but a lot of people don't like it. So, you know, I mean, it is what it is. Got a damn mag in here. So, let's see, what else have we got here? This hammer, again, this is your standard traditional hammer. Very kind of nubby, gets caught on things. A lot of people don't like it. It sticks up. So most people would prefer a more rounded hammer than the sticking up one. Because it's rounded, it comes over easier, it's got a little serrations. It may not be as easy to cock. 1911 is designed to be cocked this way. It's designed to be carried. It's a single action gun only. It cannot be fired when it's in this position. So it has to be cocked. Well, in the combat model, they make it easier to cock with this big hammer sticking out like a revolver, and then you can cock it easier. The newer ones have this rounded, so it makes it, when you round edges, you make it less likely to get caught and hooked. This is round, flatter. It's not pointy like your standard military model that gets caught on things. And again, I'm pointing to this right here, the back strap safety, the grip safety. See how it's pointed? It's narrow. The wider back strap is what people like. It's more comfortable, it's rounded, it's curved. It's just, you know, the 1911 is known for having a really good angle on the grip. So it sits in your hand and the gun points straight when you grip it. It's a natural grip and it's natural straight. That's why most people, if they shoot 1911s, they usually shoot a little bit better than when they use other guns. So I covered, I think, most everything. The only thing I didn't, which one of these has it extended? Okay, so your standard release, and I call this a slide stop, I don't call it a slide release, because when I lock the bolt to the rear, or I lock the slide to the rear, when I let it go, I'm grabbing these striations and I'm letting it fly forward. Some people like to use this, and it's very small, and it's very hard to get. And when you got a grip, you got to reach for it. So they have an extended, what they call slide release. And again, the only reason I don't like that is it makes people do this, which is a small minor muscle group, whereas this is a large muscle group, and in a crisis or high risk when you're in fight or flight, large muscle groups are easier to do than fine motor skills where I'm trying to find a little bitty thing. So you notice this size on this one, and then on the Dan Wesson Specialist, you notice how big and wide that is. Very long and wide, much bigger than the other one. So hopefully you can see both of those. This one's very small, this one's much longer and easier to grip. So if this was locked to the rear, okay, so it's locked to the rear, I can reach up and knock this off very easy. It makes it easier. Now remember, the longer the barrel, the heavier the gun. So the heavier the gun, the less recoil. These grips on the Dan Wesson are a little aggressive for me. They're smoother than a lot of the ones you get, but they're still a little aggressive, but you can get mud. I mean, this gun's a really good grip. It's going to be very solid. And again, I bought this and stuck it in my safe just because it's a really beautiful gun. It's hard to get, and I don't know if they're making them easier or whatever, but it's heavy. It's a full size. This isn't a good concealed 1911 because it's big. I mean, you can carry it, but it's big, and it's accurate, and it's long, and it's kind of your standard, and it's got all the nice upgrades, the ambidextrous safety on both sides, the extended safety, the extended slide release. It's got the hollowed out trigger, the enhanced here. It's got the regular normal crown, but it's got the regular bushing that everybody likes, and it's got a rail. So when I was looking at 1911s, if you're looking for those options, this might be what you want to look for. If you want to look for a cheaper, I mean, this is, I don't know, $1,200–$1,300 gun. This Taurus is maybe a $500–$600 gun. It's got the front striations, or the front grips for your press check. It's got the rear. I don't know what they did with the sight on this one. Again, I got this as a pawn shop. It's got the full-length guide rod, so it's got your standard bushing, but the full-length guide rod, you can't press this down. And some people don't like that. So you have to use, on this actual rod, you have to use what's called a Allen wrench, and I have to unscrew it to take this off. So you need a tool to take the gun apart. The original 1911 was designed so you don't need a tool. This is a Desert Eagle. I think it's made by Israelis or in Israel. I'm not sure. I used to know all the stats about it, but I picked this up. I forgot I had this one, and I found it when I was looking for another one to do this video. So this has the front striations, has the rear. It's a Series 70, so it doesn't have that firing pin block safety. It's got your standard, shit, well, I tell you what, remember these dams? Bushing up front. It's got a full-length guide rod, but this isn't a screw guide rod. So, okay, so this one has a guide rod to where this is a little shorter, so when I release this, I can actually press this down. So this does press down. So I can take this apart without a tool. It's got the extended safety, enhanced, advanced, whatever you want to call it. So it's a little bit easier to come on and off. It doesn't have ambidextrous, so there's nothing on this side. But again, I don't normally use it anyway, but I like the extended. Very soft safety. I mean, you can polish these up. I polished a lot of mine, so mine are pretty soft to come on and off anyway. It's got the hollowed out trigger and the hollowed out hammer. It's got the enhanced beaver tail. It's got the checkering in the rear, which is pretty smooth. I like it because it's not aggressive. And it's got the smooth front end. I would probably, if I was carrying this gun, probably put the little finger grips that I tend to like, which is pretty easy. It's a piece of rubber that sticks underneath there. I kind of like that. It gives me a good feel, makes the gun grippy. I kind of like it. Some people don't like it. They would rather the smooth. Some would like the aggressive checkering. Some would like the smoother barbed wire checkering. That just gives a little grip. Let's see what we got here. I think I've covered everything. Again, no standard bushing. No standard bushing. Standard bushing. Standard bushing. The bushing is a little thing that holds the barrel in the slide there. So, those are the different things that you can kind of look at. I think I've covered all of them. I mean, this Kimber has a little design here. There's really no reason for this other than looks. It doesn't have the front striations. If you try to do a press check with this gun, it's not loaded. I know everybody will be looking. He's got loaded guns! So if you try to do a press check with smooth, you can do it. You just have to grip it a little bit more. It's easier to slip out. Where if it has the front striations, if you're going to be doing a press check, this makes it a little bit easier. I can grip it a little bit easier. So those are different things that I probably should have covered and wanted to cover. I wanted to get the recessed crown so you know the name. Again, instead of rolling over. This one is still, you notice it still comes past the barrel a little bit. I've got one over here that is smooth to the barrel, and I like that. This one is exactly flat to the barrel. It doesn't come out. This is a nice recess on this one. I like this because it's, and there's different degrees you can get on a recess. I'm not sure what this degree is, but if you look at this one and you look at this one over here is bigger. It's at a bigger degree. I think it's at a bigger degree. But anyway, again, those are kind of some of the things that I want to. So if you're looking for a 1911 and you want to look for things you want and what you don't want and why something has it, hopefully you understand now why they have the triggers, whether you want a rail, whether you want front striations or you don't, whether you want the aggressive checkering on the front and back, whether you want the smooth front, whether you want the extended safety, you want the extended release on the slide release. All those things are options that you want to look at. Kimber magazines have a horrible reputation. You can buy them cheap. Most people I know throw away their Kimber mags when they get a Kimber, and they buy either Chip McCormick or Wilson Combat. Those are both very good mags. That's normally what I use. Some people like black, some people like stainless. Stainless isn't going to rush, but it sticks out more, and it's going to be easier, more reflective. Black may not be more reflective. Some people want the finger grips, some people don't. The other thing I didn't mention was the magazine guide rail. And let me go ahead and get that in there because that's another option so for people to figure out. You notice this has an extended magazine well here, and it's beveled. Some people like this, some people don't. Most of your 1911s are just flat, like so. So you have the beveled or the flat on the magazine. This beveled here is designed so in a hurry, you don't have to get the mag. It helps guide your mag in easy, and you don't have to be so exact. So this is basically a guide to get your magazine in quicker, and it guides it in there. Without the guide, you kind of got to be pretty perfect to get it in there. Now, I've been doing this for years, so I don't really notice the difference, and I can get it in pretty easy. Some people like the beveled because it makes it easier. If you come at this at a little angle, you're going to jam and it's going to stop you. Whereas on the beveled, if you're a little off, it'll go ahead and let it fall in. So that was another thing that I wanted to show you. If you notice on this STI, they have a little beveling, very small slant to give you a little bit bigger gap to maybe get your mag in a little easier. Again, something else to look for. Do you like it? The problem with that is it extends the bottom of your gun. You notice that extra beveling or the extra magazine well, guide well, this isn't a damn name for it, I can't remember. But this makes your gun a little bit longer versus your standard. When the magazine fits in here, it's going to be kind of recessed in a little bit, unless you have an end cap that sticks out. But if you have a standard mag in here, do I have a standard mag out here? This one looks fairly standard. It's going to be flat and recessed. You're not going to see it. Okay, now this is a short mag, so it's not clicking in. But I just wanted to show you. So anyway, you know, mags, a lot of different things. Grips you can change. You can change the extended safety. You can add the rubber grips on the front handle. You can change the trigger. You can change the hammer. I mean, that's the good thing about 1911. There's a lot of people that make a good quality part. Most people get Wilson Combat, but you can pretty much change your 1911 and make it into what you want. So I don't mind buying one that looks a little rough or has some issues, or I don't like the grips, or it's got the flat beaver tail, the standard military model beaver tail. You know, do I care? Not really, because I know I can change it. If I want to put an extended safety, an extended slide release, an extension on the mag well on the bottom for easier loading. Front striations, if you want that, you probably got to buy it. It's a little bit harder to put on. You're going to have it machined and send it off. So if you want the front striations, like on the TARS and on the Desert Eagle, then you're going to want to get it that way. If you don't want it, then you don't need it. If you just want smooth in the front, that's fine too. You know, if it's got cheap grips, I can change the grips. Do I like plastic grips or wood grips? Do I want the, you know, I forgot what those are called too, but whatever. Anyway, hopefully that gives you a little bit better idea if you're trying to buy a 1911, things that you can look for that you like and don't like. I kind of meant to cover that on the other one, but I kind of got into this gun and that gun. You know how I get. Anyway, if you know me, you know how I get. I'll talk at y'all later, and we'll end that there.